Hey guys, welcome to the Terran vs Protoss Master Build video. I'm just going to start off with the build itself. I'm not going to be showing the harassment potential and the different kinds of things you can do with it. This is for low-level players and high-level players that are just coming here to check the build out. I'm going to leave the production tab open so you can kind of keep track of things here. And once again, I won't be doing things like scouting for proxies or reacting to Protoss threats. I'm just going to go through the build and build up all the units in my base. This is something you're going to want to do if you are bronze through probably platinum. It will also give us a benchmark for unit counts and such. If you've been following my Wings of Liberty build, this is the standard opening. You got your 10 depot here from the rallied SCV, and we're going to be going with a 12 barracks and 13 gas. This is going to give us a couple early Marines to deal with the scout and prepare us for the stalker probing that usually happens. Now this is a game against an AI, so we're not going to really see much happening here. All I'm going to do is build up the units. You can see my barracks going down now. I should be throwing down my gas as soon as I hit 75 here. And as soon as I'm done with this build video, I'm going to show you a replay against an elite AI, which shows the harassment potential and different things you can scout and respond to. With Protoss here in Heart of the Swarm, they've changed it quite a bit. It's a lot harder to one-base them because of the Nexus cannon and, of course, the potential for oracles. It's made it a lot harder than it was in Wings of Liberty. So it's definitely going to require some patience, especially if they go robotics tech instead of Stargate and they try and push you away with their Nexus cannon. It's going to require a much more patient approach. I'll go over the engagement here after this game. I'm going to be getting my OC on 17 normal, and I started my Marine as soon as my barracks was completed. I'm going to get my second Marine after the first one is done, and after the SCV that finished the barracks here is done the supply depot, finishing the wall off, he's going to run over to the other side of my base and build a factory. When your OC here completes, you're going to want to drop your mule right away and start a worker, and then you're going to want to start your gas. I accidentally started my gas before my SCV. You want to do it the other way. Start the worker, drop the mule, and then build your gas. As soon as that's done, you're going to want to pop down to your barracks, lift it up, drop it down, and build your reactor right away. So you're going to have 2 Marines here total. As soon as your second refinery here is done, you're going to want to hook those extra 2 workers in there right away. This build is gas starved, that's why I got my gas after 2 Marines rather than 3. As soon as the factory here is done, you're going to want to build your first Widow Mine. You're not going to have enough gas for a starport immediately after, you're going to have to wait a few seconds, and there it goes down. So the starport after the Widow Mine there. As soon as the reactor is complete, you're going to want to continually produce Marines, as well as, of course, SCVs. I did rally my 21st worker, so at 20 I rallied one of my workers to the corner of my base to construct a supply depot, and soon after that you're going to want to create your next depot. I believe it was a few seconds. Yeah, you're going to want it no later than 30 supply, and I got it down on like 32 or 33, so I was supply blocked for a few seconds. You're going to go up to a total of 3 Widow Mines, so we're just going to have to keep those producing out of the factory with the Marines out of the barracks, and as soon as your starport is done, you're going to want to create 1 medevac. The medevac is the vital part of this build, and it's going to be used to enable our harassment potential later on. The second Widow Mine is out. Just keep those supply depots going at this point. You're going to want to be continually producing 1 supply depot, and shortly you're going to want to start a second one a little bit early. And as you can see, as soon as I have my 8 Marines out, I'm going to have my medevac out. Really neat timing there. And as soon as the medevac pops out of the starport, we're going to throw our tech lab down right away. And after our 3rd Widow Mine is complete here, we're going to throw the tech lab down on the factory. See, I'm just barely scraping by with the supply. I think I go over supply here a little bit to be safe. Supply blocks really hamper this build, so it's really important to practice it a lot and get out of getting blocked there.
Complete.
Even as well as I know this build, I still get blocked occasionally. And as you can see, I start the tank as soon as the tech lab is done, and I started a Raven as soon as the tech lab was done on the starport. Oh look, I missed a Marine here. It's really tricky here with reactors sometimes. You want to make sure that you always get those 2 units down. I notice I make this mistake a lot. It's something I'm working on. Just make sure you get the 2 units in there. With this build here, it's gas starved, so you're actually going to lose some production time on your factory with your second tank if you are perfect. Usually you aren't, and it kind of flows a little bit more smoothly because you're going to be doing a little bit more with your units at this point. So in this case, you're just going to leave your factory naked, and you're going to build a second Raven as soon as possible out of the starport as soon as the first one is done. Use the extra minerals this produces because you're not building any of these gas units to throw down 2 additional barracks. And if you're watching the production tab, you could get the exact timing. So 50 seconds ago, so around 7:30ish. Alright, you'll notice the Marines are still constant. I'm slightly blocked here for a few seconds again. It's okay to do it for a couple seconds here or there. That just means your build is really, really clean. But it's also okay to go a little bit oversupply. My tank production is now constant with my starport kicking in there, producing Banshees after the 2 Ravens. If your opponent opens with a Stargate and you get Oracled and all that stuff early, this would have already happened, so instead of building Banshees, you would instead switch to Vikings. If they go more than a couple Oracles, you might want to skip the second Raven and just produce Vikings. I'll talk a little bit more about responses to different Protoss builds in the next replay. I just wanted to get that out of the way. Let's see, I'm missing a couple cycles here. Oh, look at that computer. He's not very good at spending his money. And as you can see, my army is growing quite rapidly. It's a very versatile composition. My Ravens are building energy, and my production is rather constant. I'm building quite a few supply depots and cutting it really close with the supply again. And that pretty much concludes the build. I'm going to pause it right here. I'm just going to go back to 10 minutes, so it's just a clean benchmark. Alright, at 10 minutes flat, you can see we have 3 tanks, 2 Ravens, Banshee. All the core of our build is done. Our army is complete. And so far we have 3 mines, 35 SCVs, 1 medevac, 1 Banshee, 3 tanks, 26 Marines, and 2 Ravens with all of our production facilities working. I am going to switch out now to the build against the elite computer, where I'm a little bit more aggressive and I show you different things you can do with it. Go. Alright, because you're already familiar with the build portion, I'm going to put it on 2 times for the very beginning here, and I'm just going to switch the production tab on again for convenience, so you know exactly where we're at. Same starting positions too. Let's go. 10th worker rallied to the ramp. We're going to start that wall off so we can capture their scout. This is an elite computer, so my build is designed against to take advantage of the metagame. The computers do their own kind of thing, so it's kind of awkward, but it does still showcase the potential. You can see my gas is going down now, my wall off is halfway done. Looking good so far, no mistakes yet. And 17 orbital coming up shortly, and the wall off is now being completed. You'll notice I didn't do the really quick wall off where you pull the worker off the barracks because he did not worker scout me. Ordinarily he will pylon scout you and you'll be able to trap it in, but this Protoss is a computer, he didn't do it. My factory starts, second range starts, and this time I get my refinery after the worker was started at the orbitals. It's a little bit cleaner on my part. This is where things get a little bit differently. You're going to want to use your 2 Marines to scout for proxies. And the normal proxy locations here are over here. We're just looking for Stargates. This is not something you are going to be able to stop with the units you're producing. Like if you scout a proxy Stargate, you're not going to be able to take it out. The only reason we're looking is to get into your opponent's head and make him feel really insecure about what he's doing. This build hard counters any kind of proxy or in-base oracle play, so it's not something you're going to have to be concerned with. It's just a matter of getting into your opponent's head. This is a really weird scout timing, so I wasn't really paying attention in this area, so I kind of let him in. It's okay to let them in because you don't have your build fully fleshed out yet, so if he does a late scout like that, feel free to suck him in and kill him. So we'll eventually get down there and take him out. The first Widow Mine here, I place it in a very forward position. I aggressively place it at the ramp or entrance to my natural in order to prevent him from getting information with his Stalker, Zealot, Poke, or Mothership Core, any kind of scouting kind of look. If you're feeling a little bit more insecure or you're having trouble surviving, I would just recommend putting on your main ramp. It's not like they're going to be able to stop you in low leagues anyways. The second and third mine you'll see are going to go into the mineral line here. I'm going to put one on the edge and then one further down. So you're going to want to get like full coverage here. This will hard counter any kind of oracle play. If he sends a second oracle while your first mine is on cooldown, all you have to do is select your SCVs and just bring them over to one side of your minerals for a few seconds and you'll get zapped by the other mine. As soon as my medevac came out of my starport here, you should have 8 Marines to load up and drop your Protoss opponent. The approach here is counterintuitive. Your goal is not to drop the minerals, it's not even to kill probes, it's just here to force photon overcharge, kill the Mothership Core if possible, and to kill expensive gas units like sentries or any probes. It's also here to scout for the timing of your Protoss opponent's expansion, because you're going to want to figure out what kind of tech he's going in order to respond to it appropriately. The 3 different things you're going to see most often are either robotics facility, the Stargate, if he'll already have hit you if it's a Stargate, so you're going to be fine. But you're looking for robotics facility and the timing of the nexus. If there is no nexus, you're being all in, and you're going to need to throw down a bunker right away and hold with your mines by bringing them into more forward aggressive positions. You're probably going to want to leave this one here or this one here on the ramp. I fudge this drop a lot. It is the most important part about this drop is keeping the medevac alive, and I kind of just commit it. Normally, Protoss won't have this type of unit composition. They'll probably have a couple sentries. And I usually have a robotics by now. It's a really kind of strange, not metagame build. So I just dump my units here. Something cute you can do is micro the units. Either pull micro, or if they're kind of locked, you can suck them back with a medevac and chop them down. It's really effective against lower unit counts, which is what you're going to encounter more often. Other than that, if he photon overcharges his main, because you want to drop into a ninja location in the main, you do not want to engage your drop units while taking fire. You want to make sure all your Marines are out before you start fighting. Normally, their Protoss will Nexus Cannon his main. In that case, you just want to go into the natural, shoot down probes, pylons, units, whatever. The Marines can die. In fact, I highly recommend you commit the Marines. Just make sure the medevac gets out, because you're going to want to fly home right away. If you scout a robotics facility, he's not going for Stargate, and it does have an expansion, you're going to want to harass it with the Widow Mines. If your Protoss opponent is really good, or you make a mistake and you lose the medevac, you're going to have to walk the mines across and do what you can with them. Ordinarily, though, you want to grab those mines in the dropship, come behind, shoot the probes, come up to the main, shoot the probes, or come through the front, drop one here, drop one here. You just want to be really annoying with them, because these mines will not really help you push later. In fact, they can be used against you. So you want to commit the mines as soon as you know there's no oracle coming towards your mineral line and you're not going to be all in. That's the only purpose the mines have. As you can see, the build is shaping up. I've got my tanks, I've got my ravens, producing more units and trying not to be supply blocked. When I move out with my medevac, sometimes I'll put down an additional supply depot to make sure I'm a little bit oversupplied, just in case I get caught up with the micro and I accidentally supply block my production at home. It's absolutely vital you use your hotkeys to continually produce units, even while being aggressive, because you do need these tech facilities constantly producing units. Your gas has to be as low as possible. You need these two buildings producing units constantly. A mistake I make quite often, and something you have to watch for, is overproducing Marines and accidentally forgetting to spend every drop of gas you have. Make sure these two production facilities are working 100%. You can see I got a few kills with the mines, which is all I needed to do. Ideally, you'd kill workers with a drop, but anything those mines do is just pure profit for me. You can see this Protoss is just doing weird computer crap. The attack time is highly dependent on what you see earlier. If your opponent goes for an expansion, well, I should say that if your opponent goes for a Stargate play, or you do damage with your drop, or he starts with an all-in, you can delay your push. I would only wait until you have 4 tanks and the Banshee. However, you can go later depending on how much damage you do and the game situation. It's really hard to give you precise times, but a general rule of thumb is push when you have 4 tanks, 2 Ravens, and 1 Banshee if you're able to do damage. The reason for this is you need time to pay for the damage. You need time. As time goes on, the Protoss is largely affected by the amount of probes he loses, as well as all the sentries or mothership core you might have killed, so you can delay it a little bit more. Okay. So we're going to do the attack now. Otherwise, you're just going to want to attack with your 3 tanks, 2 Ravens, and your Marines with your Banshee rallied in. That's what I usually do, and we're going to see what happens here. When you're moving across the map, it's very important not to click your attack command or move command way over on the other side. You do not want to Congo line all your units and spread them out. You're going to want to stay in a ball. If he's out on the map doing anything, or if he has blink stalkers or anything like that, he's just going to chip away at you and concave you to death. You want to stay in a ball as much as possible. And this part is can be a little tricky. Ordinarily, human opponents in this situation will Nexus cannon themselves and kind of try and defend by boxing their units in here and just trying to get the perfect concave engagement. Like they'll spread some units up here and they'll have a bunch of units down here with the Nexus cannon here. If he Nexus cannons, you're going to have to use your siege tanks to siege up on the edge of the Nexus cannon radius, and you're just going to have to wait it out while your tanks shell his units. If your medevac is still alive, which it should be because it's a vital unit, you can do drop harass, you can do Banshee harass, you can poke him with missiles, you can do a whole bunch of things, but you do not want to commit into a Nexus cannon. Something else that took me a while to learn, the Seeker missiles with your Ravens are far better than point defense drone. There are very, very few circumstances where you'd want to use point defense drone. The reason for this is the Nexus cannon will suck through all those lasers, the stalkers will suck through all those lasers. It's really not that good. What you can do instead is use Seeker missiles on Immortals, Colossus, etc. And the damage the missiles do, I think, prevents more damage being done to you than the point defense drones did in the first place. And it might force an opposed Colossus back, reducing damage significantly, etc. It also lays down a ton of burst damage for your really high DPS units, your Marines, and your tanks and your Banshees to just obliterate your opponent's army. Like the splash damage from 3 to 4 missiles is absolutely insane. If you throw down a point defense drone, a baby dies somewhere. So you can see the effect here. Again, it's a computer, so he hasn't responded to it very well. But just lay down all the splash. If your opponent doesn't Nexus cannon, you want to leave your tanks unsieged. The only circumstance where you're going to want to siege up your tanks is if you're being zoned by Nexus cannon, or your opponent is sentry heavy and you're being force fielded. That's all the tanks are there for. Their single target armored DPS is extremely good, and used in conjunction with your really high DPS Marines, Banshees, and Seeker missiles, the fight is not going to last long enough for you to get multiple siege tank volleys off, so just use them. They do massive amounts of damage to armored, so make sure you're hooking them onto either the Colossus, Immortals, Stalkers. You don't want them shooting Zealots. And that's the basic approach you have with the attack. Once again, if you're zoned, just keep rallying reinforcements and push him as soon as the Nexus cannon is done, using your units to harass. If you miss your missiles, you're probably going to lose, so make sure you're only using them when you are making the final commitment, or there is not an opportunity for your Protoss opponent to run. For example, if he's stuck back here or something like that, you don't want a missile unit stuck in the open up here, because they'll just run away and get away. Their primary targets for the missiles could be probably robotics units or sentries. The stalkers are really fast, so you want to be careful about missiling stalkers on the front because they'll just run into you. And that's the approach for dealing with robotics. It's a lot easier if they go for Stargate, you can just walk in and kill them. If they go for Dark Templars, you can walk in and kill them. If you survive an all-in with your reinforcements here and your drop kills all their probes, you'll rape them. And if you have any further questions or you're losing on ladder, please contact me and I will look at your replays or check my twitch.tv recorded video section. I'll link myself and the Twitch channel in the description so you can check that out. Thanks for watching. I'll probably be focusing on Terran versus Protoss, or